Yes guys, as you can see, just in the sauna, can hit 20 minutes post-workout. Just had a really good training session today. I wasn't sure how today was going to go, just been feeling a little bit flat this week. Obviously carbs are lower than they were last week as per the changes that Ben made to my plan, but felt good, fueled up really well before the training session, about 80 minutes before, which obviously makes a huge difference. Oats, protein powder, raspberries, a little bit of cereal in the oats as well, just give it a little bit of crunch, and some honey as well. So that meal, second meal, was probably around 110 grams of carbs. So obviously that's a great pre-workout meal. High carb, moderate protein, very low fat. But yeah, that's fueled a really good session there. So as I say, just getting a little bit of a short one in here, and then I'm going to shower up and have a call with one of my team in the gym, then walk back. That should have me at 12,500 steps, which is the daily target. And then just a little bit of work on the laptop tonight. Got 2 check-ins to do, a little bit of content, gonna edit this video and plan out the rest of it, and then early night for me, and then a run in the morning with Simon. 12k easy tomorrow will be the longest run of the week. I'm not taking the runs above 12k in this photo shoot prep, just capping them there. And I'm gonna do another short one on Sunday, but feeling good. Physique is coming in. Took some post-workout shots there for Ben. Always do that after a training session, just to see how we're looking. And if you've dieted down before, if you've done a photo shoot or anything like that, you'll know that you kind of go through this weird period. I was talking about it to one of my clients before who's on a similar journey. You know, day to day when you look in the mirror, you don't see much change. You look very flat because carbs and food in general is lower than what it usually is. But when you come into the gym, provided that you fueled well and you're hydrated, good amount of salt in the diet as well, you get a really good pump, and you're like, yeah, it's all paying off. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment. But definitely getting lean. I'm not sure if you can see there, but my legs are actually pretty lean anyway compared to the rest of my body. But when I start to get veins in my legs, I know I'm getting lean. I'm pretty lean from the front. I always have abs year round, unless I gain a lot of body fat. And I feel like now it's coming off my legs and my back as well. So not seeing too much change on the front, but overall we definitely are. And this is obviously not my main focus with my health, my fitness, in terms of getting shredded and doing a photo shoot. But someone came in there, which was quite awkward. But I think what I was saying was, it's obviously not my main focus, physique development, getting shredded, obviously year round. But I think it's nice to do it every now and again, get yourself into sick shape once a year, possibly 2 for a holiday as well. And I think for me, you know, as a coach and a leader of the team, just reminding yourself what doing a lot of steps feels like, what going lower calories than you want to and being more selective with foods feels like as well. Because I'm obviously still on a good amount of calories compared to most people because I'm very active, but there's definitely certain foods I'm not eating at the moment, which I would usually like to eat, like pizza. Might be able to squeeze 1 in before the photo shoot, but we'll see. It's hot in here, if you can hear me. Done around 23 minutes, I think. So it's time to get out and have a shower.
You can't not speak to me when I eat. Lead the way.
Okay, then you stop doing that. I have to do it again when you stop doing it. Okay.
You can't be a mute when I'm eating.
What have you got? Get in front of that speaker.
I've got 3 eggs and ham.
Oh yeah.
And if you...
But the eggs are in the ham.
Green eggs and ham, yeah.
The eggs are in the ham, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I know. And then some leaves that I don't want, so they can go over there. We don't need health.
It's very close. Jesus. Saturday, shop, we're working. Wow, these colours.
Are they connected to that?
Listening to Afro beats.
But are your headphones connected to that?
Tuesday afternoon, as you can see, just getting a little bit of sun. This is part of my daily routine, so that's what I'm going to talk about now. But big interval training session this morning, part of my half marathon prep. So the workout today was 2k easy warm up, 2 by 12 minutes at a pace of 340 to 345, which is just below the target race pace. And then 3 by 2 minutes at a faster pace of 325 to 330 per kilometre. I took 3 minutes rest between the intervals of 12 minutes and then 90 seconds between the intervals of 2 minutes. Really good run. I did that run at around 9 a.m. and to be honest, it was a lot hotter than I thought it would be. It's February next week, and I'd say it's definitely getting hotter in Dubai. It's not too hot midday, but it starts to get hotter earlier on now, and this race that I'm doing is obviously a half marathon in Dubai. It is the end of April, so it's going to be very hot. So I actually think there's a lot to be said for practicing these race pace interval runs in the heat, just so that obviously on the day I'm used to it. But I'm definitely going to try and get out earlier, I think, over the next couple of weeks, because these races in Dubai, they usually start at 6 or 6:30, so it's not going to be as hot as it was today. But yeah, feeling good. I've got just over 3 weeks until my photo shoot, so this training session is the only high intensity training session that I do per week. It's really, really important when you're in a calorie deficit to focus on recovery, minimize stress on the body. Once I've got this photo shoot out the way, I'll be ramping the intensity up, and there'll be 2 intense runs per week, but I'm enjoying it. So topic of this little clip is going to be routine, and I know this might sound boring, but it's genuinely the most important thing if you want to get in shape or if you have a performance goal. I would say, probably 40% of the clients that we coach in the business are working towards performance goals, whether that's half marathons all the way up to half Ironmans and Ironmans. The rest of the clients that we coach are working towards body composition improvements, and a lot of them, especially this time of year, whether it be in January, are in fat loss phases. And simply put, especially for the busier people that we coach, if you don't have a routine, you're going to find it incredibly difficult to drop a significant amount of body fat. Most of the people that we work with, they need to lose between 10 to 20 pounds of body fat, and in order to do that, you're going to have certain targets that you need to hit on a weekly basis and also a daily basis as well. So can speak from a lot of personal experience at the moment, because obviously I'm in this photo shoot prep. So the targets that I'm trying to hit daily and across the course of the week: 12,500 steps a day. I have calorie targets and macronutrient targets that I'm sticking to as well, and then I have a certain amount of cardio that I need to hit throughout the week, on top of obviously the strength training. And I think it's really important to understand with routine, you do need a routine. So you need to know roughly when you are doing things and when you're going to be able to hit and achieve those targets, but you also need to have a certain degree of flexibility within your routine, because for most of the people that we work with, a lot of them do travel. Sometimes their work schedules will change on a weekly basis and a day-to-day basis, and if you have such a strict routine and structure where you say you're going to do exactly the same thing at exactly the same time every single day, if something comes up and your routine changes, then I often find that clients get overwhelmed and then they don't hit the targets. And having that flexibility is really, really important. So if I use my routine as an example, mine does fluctuate a lot, and that's usually based off the training that I do, but also the work that I have on a weekly basis. So because a lot of the people that we work with are in the US, I'm in Dubai, I'm often up at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock to start calls at 6:30 a.m. Sometimes, not too much recently, but sometimes I have to stay up late till 9:30 doing calls as well. Now that's obviously not that late, but I like to wind down a little bit after that. So sometimes I'm getting to bed at 10 a.m, sometimes it's closer to 11. So I have a relatively strict structure and routine, but I also know how to adapt things. So I think it's really important to have certain things in your day that occur and happen at similar times. So again, if I look at my own routine, with me doing a high amount of steps at the moment, if I don't go out and do steps in the morning, it's going to be very hard for me to hit that target. So for example, if I do a call at 6:30 in the morning that lasts till 7, I'll do a little bit of admin work and then I'll get out and do my steps. So every day I'm doing steps, usually between 7 and 8 a.m. and the exact time that I do that will change on a day-to-day basis. Might be a little bit later on the weekend, but that kind of part of my routine is pretty structured, doing steps in the morning. Obviously I eat food, I have meals, and then post meal post kind of like lunch, if I'm eating midday, I'll go out and get some more steps as well. And then at the moment I usually do a few in the evening as well. I also have a call with a member of my team every single day, every weekday, Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So that's part of my routine that does not change. And training wise, 3 days a week I do strength training, and that almost always happens between, I would say, 11 a.m. and midday. So again, that's a staple in my routine. And then I build everything else around that depending on the work that I've got and my meals as well. My meal structure does have to be more strict and rigid at the moment because I've got quite tight calorie and macro targets to hit, and I'll usually have those meals at a similar time each day. So for example, today I have my first meal at 10:30, and I'll usually have my first meal between 10 and 10:30 every single day. I'll be having another meal probably in around an hour's time, so that'll be about 1:30. And then my evening meal is usually between, I would say, 7 and 7:30 p.m. and then I'll have a light snack in the afternoon as well. So you can see there, if I was to write that down on paper or enter it into like a calendar, there'd be certain things that happen each day in my routine, and that allows me to stay consistent, and that allows me to hit my targets. And this is something that we recommend that our clients do as well. Otherwise, when work does come up, they can get overwhelmed and then they miss the target. So if you are trying to achieve a certain goal at the moment, whether that's a performance goal, training for a race, or whether you're working towards body composition changes and improvements, having that structure is absolutely key. And then if you travel, structure is obviously going to be incredibly important too. But going back to what I was saying before, having the ability and I guess autonomy to move things around depending on your travel is going to be key to success as well. And this is something that I constantly address with myself. I've definitely not got it mastered. I think as a business owner and a quote unquote high performer, we can always overanalyze things, and there's definitely elements of my routine that I want to improve, but it's something that I revisit every month. I look at my calendar and think, am I doing things at the right time? Would I be better at doing something else at a certain time? But I've always been very, very good at just getting everything done and hitting the targets. That's something that I've managed to do all throughout my life. Even at university, I was obviously studying, not too much, but I had certain lectures that I had to attend. I had a good social life, so I was going out a lot in the evening. had a relationship to manage. I was still training 4 or 5 times a week. So I think there's two things: have a routine, have a structure, be flexible, but also have the mindset to just get everything done regardless of what comes up. Because again, if you want to make a significant change to your body composition and physique, it's going to take, in most people's cases, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take sticking to a lot of targets, for want of a better term and a way to explain that. And on that note, I'm going to go and get some more steps, and I'm going to have my food. So I hope that is useful. And again, this advice comes from me doing it myself, but more importantly, working with a lot of very, very busy clients who have not necessarily more busy routines than me, but possibly more restricted and limited, because they're in a lot of cases they're working for a company and working for other people. But yeah, going to hit these steps. And just lastly, to finish off, get a few questions asking, how do you manage step count around running? Now, when I was training for the marathon, obviously the performance goal was the main goal, and because I was running 50 to 60k a week, I would naturally get around probably 15,000 steps a day, but that was inclusive of my running. I'm running 3 times a week at the moment, and I'm adding the 12.5k steps onto the runs. So output is very, very high. So for example, if I do an 8k run, I know I'm going to do probably 7,000 steps in that run. So then I need to go and do another 12,500 on top of that. As I say, it's not something I used to do because I was more focused on performance and I wasn't too strict on my steps. But it is a really, really good way of staying lean. And I think it's also a nice way to break up the day if you have to work behind the desk a lot like I do. So I think once I've got this photo shoot out the way, I'll obviously bring the steps down, but I'll probably do another 8,000 on top of my runs on those days. And then outside of that, I'll probably do 10 to 12,000 steps a day. I like getting out, I like moving around. It's a good way to tan as well. But yeah, just a bit of advice there. Smart. Lost my spoon. Oops. My old messy. Working our way through this tub, aren't we? Jesus.
100 grams, is it?
Yes, team, what is happening? So it is Thursday evening, just about to head out and do the last couple of thousand of my steps today. So a little bit of an update. I don't think I've vlogged in about a week But basically, brought the photo shoot forward by 10 days, which I'm absolutely buzzing about. Long story short, got lean a little bit quicker than, not necessarily intended, but basically I've just got to the point where I'm pretty happy with the way I look. And since we brought the shoot forward, which would have been about 6 days ago, I've obviously continued to see really, really great visual progress. So as I say, it's Thursday evening now. The shoot is now on Monday at 6 a.m. So we've only got 3 days left basically. And every day from this point is slightly higher carbs, which is amazing. Again, not to go into too much detail because I have a tendency to ramble about these sorts of things, but started the shoot on 3,000 calories, got down to 2,300 calories for the last, I think we've only done 3 or 4 days on that amount. So the last 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, not today, were very, very tough because I've been doing a lot of steps, 15,000 steps, about 4 hours of cardio a week as well, on top of strength training, on top of just living life as well and working and running the business. So this week has definitely been the toughest in terms of like any sort of fat loss phase prep that I've ever done, but it's obviously what I signed up for, and I do think it's good to remind myself of what being in a proper deficit and doing a high amount of output at the same time, and I think that's a key understanding, which I'll get onto in a second, is really important when you are a coach and you're leading a team, because obviously, you know, yes, I understand how to get lean, I understand the theory, I've done it with loads of clients, but I've not done a strict deficit for a couple of years, so it is good to remind yourself how that feels, and I'm glad that I've done that. And obviously I had a very high expenditure in the marathon prep, but my food was also really high as well. Carbohydrates were really, really high. On the weekend I was probably having, on average, Friday to Sunday, probably 500 to 600 grams. So there's a big difference between doing a high amount of output, like a lot of running, but also doing a high amount of output, like lots of steps and lots of cardio, whilst being on low calories and low food. So it's been good to remind myself of what that is like, but I'm really looking forward to getting it done. I think the main thing that I've taken from this photo shoot prep, apart from, as I said before, about just reminding myself of what a deficit feels like, is just the fact that I love my bread and butter hybrid style of training where I combine strength training and running. You know, the shape that I was in for the marathon prep, I absolutely loved, and I'm not even a kilo lighter than I was then. It was much easier for me to achieve that condition doing that sort of training because my output was very high and I did not have to be nearly as strict with my food as I have been over the last, I would say 3 weeks is when we've really had to dial it in, just because again output was really high, carbs are high. I felt amazing. Obviously the day after, well, after a long run on the day, if you've done a marathon prep before, you'll know how that will feel. You're quite fatigued. But apart from that, I felt great throughout the entire prep. So I love this sort of training, that sort of training, and I can't wait to get back into that next week. Obviously, I haven't done too much running over the last month. I've still been hitting like 30k a week, which is good. You know, I've completely pulled out running for the last week because obviously you don't want to generate too much fatigue going into a shoot. The goal now is purely to just come in looking the absolute best. And I'll get onto the macros for the next few days in a second. But next week, I'm definitely going to get back to running. I'm going to probably run 3 times next week, probably Monday, Thursday, and on the weekend, I would say. We'll see how I'm feeling then. And I'm really looking forward to combining those two sorts of training, because that is really the way that I've loved to train. In the past, I've thought, would I be better off just doing more bodybuilding, more body composition? But again, this phase with the photo shoot prep has really shown me that I love that style of training. And I can't wait to get back to it. So for the next 2 days, calories are higher whilst we carb load for the shoot. So macros are 160 proteins being brought down from just over 200 to aid digestion. Carbs are up from, I think, 275 where they were today to 460, and a slight increase in fat of 20 grams from 50 to 70. That is Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday is a full rest day where carbs are lower again ahead of the shoot on Monday morning. Training wise, lower body tomorrow, upper body on Saturday for a bit of a pump, and then that's it. Can't wait to get it done. I'm going to take a half day of work on Monday to just chill a little bit because it's been full on for the last week and I need a little bit of a break. But looking forward to getting it done. I'm going to end this vlog here and I'm going to pick up another vlog probably tomorrow or Sunday, and then we'll get back to documenting the hybrid style training. But I'm looking forward to getting these shots back and finishing this phase off well.